On KSL.
It's been a rough week for garbage truck drivers. Coming up, how you can help them with the position of your can to help them do their job.
A Ukrainian American been caught in that slide. All part of a record winter blast families are still digging out of right now. We do have team coverage for you tonight. Kevin is tracking more storms that are heading our way.
But we first want to start with Lad Egan, who's live in Taylorsville with how this deep snow is slowing down just about everyone, including the garbage truck. Lad, many neighborhoods, there's not even space for the garbage truck or the cans.
Yeah, that's right, Dean. And you know, it's because of these huge snow banks. The snowplows had to put the snow somewhere, making the roads more narrow. You add in cars and hanging branches, and it's a real obstacle course for the garbage truck drivers. And I did learn about one thing that we can all do that can help them out. They say to not put the garbage truck up high on top of a snowbank. They say that the arms of the garbage truck are designed to work at street level. So they say bring it on down to street level. And if there's not room on your street, maybe go to a side street where you can find some room there. And it's definitely been a rough week for those drivers as they're trying to make sure they can do their job and get all that garbage picked up. And the battle isn't over for garbage truck drivers. The snow made it impossible to work on Wednesday, so they're now playing catch up and planning to work Saturday. The icy, narrow roads made it scary as they're nervous about sliding and hitting cars, all while watching out for power lines and mailboxes.
All that snow, we have to, grab the can. Sometimes we can't even see because there's so much snow banks. And then especially with so much snow on top of the lid, so we can't really tell what's what. But so that made it tough on us.
Saul Lopez has been driving garbage trucks and recycling trucks for 15 years. He says to keep the cans 3 feet apart and away from cars. Also, don't overfill the cans. When the lid is open and overflowing, things can fall out, which makes it so he has to get out of the truck and pick it up. And here's another tip. They say if there's snow on top, to go ahead and clear it off. That makes the can weigh more if there's snow on top. And also, it fills up the garbage truck with snow instead of garbage. So you can help out in a number of ways. And coming up at 6, we'll go inside the garbage truck, give you some more ways that you can help out. For Live at 5, I'm Lad Egan.
Well, I just learned something new, Lad. I better get my garbage can off the snowbank and get it back down onto the ground. Thank you.
Save lives.
I mean, it's like an obstacle course out there.
Plus, continued impacts from our winter blast. Now that most of us have finally dug out of the snow, the unique problems it poses for your neighborhood's garbage truck. KSL-5 News.
And speaking of the weather, coming up in a live report, I'll talk about the huge snowbanks and trash collection, what you can do to help the garbage truck driver.
Fanua.
We're a day behind, so we're catching up.
Yeah, they are. It's been a rough week of digging out for Utahns all across the state, but the battle still is not over for some, like our neighborhood garbage truck drivers.
As you can imagine, maybe you're actually seeing it, the garbage can's still in front of my house. They're dealing with way more obstacles than usual. New specialist Lad Egan's live in Taylorsville. And Lad, the huge snowbanks are really making their jobs difficult.
Yeah, that's right. There's snowbanks everywhere. And one of the main things I learned that we can all do to help out the garbage truck driver is don't put that garbage can up here on top of the snowbank. That's because the truck's arms are designed to grab the can at street level. So instead, keep it down here, maybe dig out some space for it. If there's not room on your street, maybe pick a neighboring street to leave the garbage can. After 15 years on the job, Saul Lopez says navigating a garbage or recycling truck is already hard enough.
There's trees, mailboxes, cars. I mean, you got a lot of obstacles around the cans.
Now add in piles of snow.
I mean, it's like an obstacle course out there.
Making roads narrow and crowded.
Especially with all the snowbanks, it's kind of hard to see.
I'm just getting stuck and sliding everywhere.
The huge snowstorm made it impossible to work on Wednesday, so they're now playing catch up and planning to work Saturday.
For our driver's safety and the safety of residents, we didn't want to try that on Wednesday.
Like right now, it's good. Like this can, they don't have snow in them, so it's perfect.
Inside the truck, Lopez uses a joystick to pick up the cans, which is no easy task.
There's trees, mailboxes, cars. I mean, you got a lot of obstacles around the cans. All that snow, we have to, you know, grab the can. Sometimes we can't even see because there's so much snowbanks.
He says you can help by keeping cans 3 feet apart and away from cars. Also, don't overfill them. If things fall out, he has to get out of the truck and pick it up. Even though the snow makes for difficult days, he's got a good attitude.
It's Mother Nature, right? We got to accept all the snow we could get. We need it, you know.
A great attitude there, especially after a very demanding week. And one other thing that he told me that can really help out is if there's snow here on top, make sure to get that snow off of there. You know, Mike and Deanie, the reason for that is if the snow adds a lot of weight to the can, but also it ends up filling up the garbage or recycling truck with snow and water instead of the garbage and recycling. So you learn something new every day.
Hey, we sure did, and we're still seeing the trickle-down effects from all this snow. Lad, thanks.
Yeah, hopefully we can help them out because guess what? There's more on the way, right?
We've entered the winter we've been waiting for.
A year like this is really going to kind of turn the table a little bit to help us out.
From record-breaking snow
We've been talking about needing a winter like this for a while.
to the rising levels of the Great Salt Lake.
All this precipitation is letting us kind of catch our breath.
This wet winter weather is having a huge impact on us all.
We had our earliest opening ever, and then the snow really hasn't stopped.
But I'm so thankful for it now because I know those storms are blowing out the bad air.
What does it mean for Utah's drought and long-term climate conditions? The deep look into this season's snowpack impact starts now.
This is a special report from KSL.
Well, another week of big winter weather across Utah. This winter has delivered dozens of big storms when it comes to snow, especially in our mountains.
Yeah, this is the best winter we have seen in more than 25 years. Tonight, we, your KSL weather specialists, are breaking down this season's snowpack impact. All this snow continues pushing our statewide snowpack above normal.
Yeah, and there are still more than 30 days to go until our typical peak snowpack in early April. I want to show you just how much improvement we have seen across the state when it comes to our snowpack. Check this out. Keep in mind, this is from the 1st of February, so it does not include any other storms we've seen this month. The image on the left, that is this year. Look at it compared to last year. See that difference? And we are sitting above average in that image on the right. And I would like to show you what the snowpack looks like right now with the recent storm that we saw. These numbers have been boosted thanks to the active pattern that we've seen. Look at this, 132% of normal for Bear River, the one that stands out the most and that needs it the most that we'll talk about a little bit later. That's the lower severe at 207% of normal. That's double what we typically see by this time in February. Eastern Utah, 150 to 180%. Escalante, 154. This is really, really good news, and it is looking like the pattern may continue to hold, bringing more storms our way. But let's go ahead and get over to Kevin, who's going to talk a little bit more about our snowpack.
Matt, thanks a lot. It is crazy what a difference this winter has made. All of this snow is great news, leaving us well above the April peak. But when it comes to the drought situation in Utah, experts are saying that this is just not a one-and-done deal.
We've been talking about needing a winter like this for a while.
This year's snowpack is a big step in the right direction, and it helps to loosen the grip that the drought has had on the Beehive State.
There are 3 basins in the state that are still areas of concern, despite the fact that we have all this snow.
Snowpack Survey Supervisor Jordan Clayton is talking about the Sevier, Bear, and Provo basins.
All those systems are expected to get above normal runoff, but they have really depleted reservoirs, and it's going to take a lot of water to fill those back up.
Clayton thinks this winter is an ideal start to a long road to recovery.
A year like this is really going to kind of turn the table a little bit to help us out.
With Utah's complex reservoir system, it's going to take time. There's more than one mouth to feed.
All those really major reservoir systems, of course, also need to be replenished, and so we're going to see some of that water stay in those buckets, so to speak.
It's a trickle-down effect as the runoff makes its way from the primary lakes to downstream bodies of water. And later this summer, some will reach 100% capacity. However, some of the crowd favorites are a far cry from full pool.
We're not going to fill them up. That's going to take, hopefully, many, many years of above normal snowpack to make really important gains.
To really start to make a dent at the big spots like Bear Lake, Lake Powell, and the Great Salt Lake, we need this winter on repeat.
We're going to need to have multiple years like this and hopefully back to back.
Hydrologist Glenn Merrill of the National Weather Service says it'd be nice to have water for recreation, but stresses Utah's snowpack accounts for more than just summer fun.
We get 90 to 95% of our water supply from snowmelt runoff from our snowpack.
Snowpack numbers this year are within that range to raise levels, but with just over a month left in the season, the question is, will we maintain it through April 1st?
When we look at the most probable number, which is that kind of middle number in that spectrum, we would probably be around 150% of normal by the time we get to the end of our snowpack season.
So despite the... But man, I'll tell you, keeping those storms coming makes all the difference in the world, doesn't it? Hey, one way to beat the winter inversion, head up to the mountains. Utah ski resorts opened early this season, and the snow just keeps on coming. How this year's winter weather is impacting the ski industry, coming up next.
This winter has been a record-breaking season in the mountains. Utah ski resorts are loving all the fresh powder.
Yeah, right now it's about halfway through the ski season, and already Utah resorts have seen a full season's worth of snowfall. Any and all snow we see from this point forward will be a bonus on top of an already typical season. Kevin?
The resort totals are huge for the recreation industry. This winter's early snowfall that really hasn't even quit has had a huge impact on tourism. For the last several years, you could see stickers like this all over the state of Utah, but this year, it's a little different. The snow started falling early this year, and it just kept coming. Our mountains received several feet of snow before Thanksgiving, allowing the resorts to open extra early.
It's been an unbelievable winter here at Snow Basin. We had our earliest opening ever, and then the snow really hasn't stopped.
With all that early snow, skiers, snowboarders, and anyone who recreates in the outdoors got excited about the potential of the season. Michael Ruckert, director of marketing at Snow Basin, says that the early snow helps to shape future decisions.
I mean, we've had an extra month of operations this year, so that's certainly helped. People are really excited about skiing, particularly around November, December. You know, people are very excited for winter, and having snow in that critical period is often when they're making the decision if they want to take that ski trip this year.
This year's early and consistent snowfall have made for an incredible year, and if we can keep it up, it'll likely go down in the record books. Snow totals this year have far surpassed what we've seen for the last few years. The Cottonwood Canyons have received almost 500 inches of snow, while areas like Park City, Snow Basin, and Powder Mountain have received nearly 300. All that snow has been a blessing in many ways, from the early openings to the impressive base totals. But Ski Utah President and CEO Nathan Rafferty says there's one thing that brings people to Utah in the winter.
There's nothing that drives visitation in our industry more than snowfall. Not just how much, but when. And so it's super important that it starts snowing, not in October, but in early November, snow that we can keep on the ground and ski. And it feels like it hasn't stopped snowing since early November. That sets the tone for the entire ski season.
Resorts all across the state have seen an increase in skiers and boarders on the mountains, and booking for accommodations are also up. If you're a local,
living in Utah and not skiing and snowboarding is like living in California and not going to the beach. So this is one of the best years we've ever had in the state. It's certainly pacing like it could be a record year. You don't want to miss out.
And for those contemplating whether or not to come to Utah for the snow,
you need to get here this year because this is the year it is on. It's as good as it gets right now.
Oh, Nathan Rafferty is exactly right. It is as good as it gets. Talking from three snowboarders who've gone up and sampled ourselves, we can tell you it's absolutely.
All right, thank you. Well, the battle over snow piles is not over for other city workers either, like those who are driving our neighborhood garbage trucks.
Yeah, they're dealing with many more obstacles than usual, and they have some suggestions for homeowners.
All that snow, we have to, grab the can. Sometimes we can't even see because there's so much snow banks.
He says you can help them help us by keeping cans 3 feet apart, away from cars, and don't put them on the snowbanks. Keep them off the snowbanks. Also, don't overfill them. When things fall out, he has to get out of the truck and pick it up. Clear any snow off the lid. That reduces the weight of the can and the amount of water that gets into the trash in the truck.
We called